Funny how that works. I just started and I was like 2 seconds in, then someone wants to make coffee. Anyway, it's going to be like that. Okay, for this exercise, we're just going to jump in and do some color mixing. I've got a metal palette here with little blocks, and each has got a different color in. So I just drew it with my mechanical pencil very lightly, and without a ruler, just freehand the blocks. Okay, and all I want us to do is to get the procedure correct when we paint. So I've got a nice round brush. I'm just gonna clean it now in the dirty water. I take off the excess. Now these are all creating a muscle memory for you. Okay, first you drop in the water into your palette, and this is a tip that I got last night, which I thought, this is brilliant, why didn't I think of that before? Okay, then I'm going to stir up that paint and make a nice mix. Now you can see this is quite transparent still. When I do that, it's not nice and juicy and thick enough. So without ruining my brush, I will just make it a little bit thicker. And I'm going to try and leave white in between, not touching the one next to it, because the one next to it might still be wet. I wipe most of the color off because I'm going to change colors. You can see most of the color is wiped off. Then rinse it in your dirty water and repeat. I'm just checking, yes, it's nice and clean. I'm going to start with my water there. Now trust me, this alone is quite enough to practice. Now what I left out is that I did water my palette a little bit before the time. Now because this is a metal palette, I didn't use my little spray bottle that I would normally use, like this one, just because it will result in rust here in between. So I just do this just to wet it a little bit, and then to be able to get a nice lot, but you can see like that is quite thin still. I'm going to continue working until the paint is nice and thick, and I'm also going to try and do it in that little container over here until I've got a nice juicy color. And again, I'm going to try, and I can see there's too much water in here. And at the moment I'm working flat, because I do want you to experience the different ways of working. Now you can see it's a little bit transparent at the top. I'm going to wipe it off again, clean it in my dirty water with a sponge, then in the clean water check it that it doesn't have any residue of the previous color, and then start again. I'm going to use my clean water, dump it into the place where I'm going to mix my paint, then start again. Now watercolor is supposed to be transparent, and that's the beauty of it. But when you see it in a solid form like that, it doesn't look transparent. Okay, I'm just going to take off most of that water and go back into it, because I've wet it twice now. It's maybe too wet, and you can see there's a what we call a bead here at the bottom, and that's going to take a while to dry. I'm going to leave it there because I want to just take note that I've used too much water there, because we're all learning still, okay, me included. That's why I'm taking you on this journey with me, so that we can both practice, okay? Because with this you're going to learn brush control, water control, and a little bit of color mixing as well. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Take off most of the color, dirty water, clean water, check, then start with a new puddle and the next color. Until you've done your whole box, or all the colors that you have. Now, if you work with tubes, I would recommend to put it out onto your porcelain palette like this, or your plastic palette like that. Let it dry a bit before you start, and then do the same. Oops, I've mixed the two. Okay, made a mistake because I lost my concentration, and I've messed on my paper. Okay, I'm just going to dry it a bit, because if wet, actually it's not a good idea to put my water there, because I'm moving over my paper with that. So I'm just going to move it to this side, to the side where I will be less likely to mess on my paper. Okay, I'm going to try again, just to mix a nice puddle of paint over there, and then do this one. And as you can see, I'm not at this moment focusing on doing a precise little block. I'm just getting the color down and getting this way of working to work for me. Dirty water, sponge, clean my brush on a towel or a paper towel, clean water. The water is not clean. Okay, I'm going to clean my palette this little bit here, because I want to use that part over there with some clean water, and then dip into this color here. Oh, what a beautiful color. So I'm going to make a nice juicy mix. That one is still too watery, and we'll talk a bit about the paint consistency at some other point, but for today I want you just to practice this, where you change colors. I'm taking off most of the color here, or on a towel, dirty water and a sponge, clean water. Make sure it's nice and clean. It's not. Rinse it a bit more. That's better. And then start all over again. You can use a porcelain plate, or a I can't remember what, say the plastic here. You can also use that, and start in your new mix over there. I hope that makes sense. And then start by painting. I can see that's way too thin, so I'm just going to remix it, and while it's still wet, redo the color, and you will see it will dry at least 40% lighter, 30 to 40% lighter. Okay, I hope that helps.